The cell was designed to erase time. Dr. Mara Vorn noticed it within minutes. There were no shadows sharp enough to measure hours, no temperature shifts to mark cycles, no sound beyond the faint vibration of the station's gravity ring. Light panels glowed a permanent sterile white, soft enough to keep her conscious, bright enough to deny rest. The walls curved inward, seamless and smooth, without joints or seams, nothing to scratch, nothing to hide behind, nothing to hold on to. A restraint band circled her left wrist, cool and gently pulsing. It tracked vitals, neural activity, stress responses. The coalition called it humane oversight. Mara called it a leash. The door sealed behind her with a soundless precision that suggested confidence. Helios 9 did not expect escape attempts. It expected compliance, followed by silence. She sat on the narrow bench, spine straight, hands folded. Her breathing slowed deliberately. Panic was a luxury. She had learned that years ago, translating threat dialects on border worlds where one wrong inflection could start a war. Footsteps approached. She didn't look up. The door dilated, revealing two guards in matte black armor. Their helmets were off, revealing scaled gray skin and slit pupils. Virelian. Both carried shock batons, though neither seemed particularly alert. So, one said, glancing at a datapad. Human ethics observer. That's a long way to fall. Mara raised her eyes calmly. You're holding me without charges. The other guard snorted. You're holding on to old assumptions. They circled her slowly, as if examining an exhibit. You filed a report. The first guard continued. Accusing Helios 9 of unlawful detainee termination. I submitted verified evidence, Mara replied, including biometric records and execution timestamps. And you think that protects you? I think truth has weight, she said. Even here. The guards exchanged a glance, amused. Truth is flexible, one said. Especially in orbit around a dead star. They left without another word. Hours, or what passed for hours, followed. Interrogation did not begin immediately. Helios 9 preferred erosion. Hunger. Fatigue. The slow creep of doubt. Mara countered it with mental discipline, replaying linguistic matrices, reconstructing extinct grammar trees, anything that kept her mind active and intact. Eventually, the door opened again. This time, a single figure entered. Warden Kethrax Maltor did not wear armor. His uniform was dark crimson, its cut ceremonial, its insignia sharp and deliberate. His posture radiated ownership. He did not look at the guards when they sealed the door behind him. He studied Mara as if she were a problem that offended him. Dr. Mara Vorn, he said. His voice was smooth, cultured, carefully modulated. You are far from where your kind usually stands. I go where the work is, she replied. He smiled faintly. You mistake your role. Observers observe. They do not interfere. Executing detainees is interference, Mara said. It violates coalition law. Maltor's smile thinned. Coalition law does not reach Helios 9. It will, she said. He leaned closer, eyes reflecting the cell's artificial light. Humans have an interesting relationship with inevitability. You believe consequences always arrive. They do, Mara said. Eventually. Maltor straightened. You submitted your evidence. It was intercepted. You were detained. The system worked. You're confusing process with justice. I'm dismissing both, he replied. Tell me who else has access to your files. No one, Mara said. They were transmitted automatically. To whom? She met his gaze without flinching. That information is restricted. His expression hardened. You assume relevance. I assume survival, she said. Yours. That earned her a laugh, sharp and genuine. You humans cling to personal warnings. As if your emotions carry strategic value. They do, Mara said quietly. Maltor paced once around the cell. You have a family. Yes. A partner? Yes. He stopped in front of her. A name? No. He studied her restraint band as it pulsed. Your stress indicators rise when we discuss this subject. That tells me your attachment is exploitable. Mara shook her head slightly. You misunderstand the signal. Explain. It's not fear, she said. It's urgency. Maltor straightened. I am not interested in metaphors. That's your mistake, Mara replied. His gaze sharpened. You think you're self-protected. Why? She considered the answer carefully. Because if you kill me, what follows won't be quiet. The warden tilted his head. Do you know how many prisoners have said some version of that? I do, Mara said. None of them were correct. Maltor turned toward the door. Return her to isolation. Increase sensory variance. I want her disoriented before the next session. As he left, Mara exhaled slowly. Her hand brushed the restraint band once, just enough to complete a circuit invisible to non-human monitoring systems. A single encrypted pulse escaped the station, threaded through dormant coalition protocols most species had stopped respecting centuries ago. A message without words. A signal without explanation. The door sealed. The lights did not change. Mara closed her eyes. If Helios 9 was right, nothing would happen. If it was wrong, the galaxy would learn something it had forgotten. That humans were never harmless. They were restrained. The lights shifted. Not dimmer, not brighter, just wrong. The white softened into a faint blue hue that confused depth perception and bent edges where none existed. Mara noticed immediately. Helios 9 had moved from erosion to intervention. Her stomach tightened as the bench dissolved into the floor, replaced by a standing restraint field that locked her joints without touching her skin. Pressure wrapped her body evenly, leaving no marks, no bruises. Clean pain. Controlled pain. The door opened. Warden Kethrax Maltor entered alone. You lasted longer than projected, he said, voice almost approving. Most humans begin bargaining by now. Mara swallowed once, steadying herself. You're still here. That tells me you don't have what you want. Maltor circled her slowly. The field adjusted with each movement, preventing even a shift of weight. I have time. You have deterioration. I have already sent what matters. His eyes flicked to the restraint band. You sent nothing detectable. Then your systems are incomplete. He stopped in front of her. Everything humans build assumes oversight. Checks. Morality layers. We remove those. Then you remove context, Mara replied. That's dangerous. Maltor raised a hand. The field tightened. Pain bloomed along her spine, precise and surgical. Her breath caught, but no sound escaped. She focused on a single point in the wall, forcing her muscles to remain still. Context, Maltor said calmly, is optional. The pressure increased, targeting neural clusters mapped in real time. He was not guessing. This was tailored. Measured. Designed to provoke collapse without damage. You filed your report knowing what would happen, he continued. That suggests preparation. You planned for failure. Mara's vision blurred at the edges. I planned for truth. You planned to be a martyr. No, she said through clenched teeth. I planned to be a witness. Maltor lowered his hand. The pain receded instantly, leaving her shaking but upright. Your resilience is inefficient, he said. Humans exhaust themselves clinging to principle. Yet you keep testing it, Mara said. Why? He smiled thinly. Because something about you doesn't fit. He tapped a control. The field loosened just enough to let her breathe more freely. Your profile indicates a xenolinguist, he said. Conflict mediator. Observer. Not a soldier. Not an extremist. She said nothing. Yet you embedded a transmission protocol that predates coalition standardization, he continued. Obsolete. Forgotten. Forgotten doesn't mean useless. It does when no one listens. They will, Mara said. Someone always does. Maltor leaned closer. Your husband. The word landed harder than the pain. You react? He noted. Subtle, but measurable. Congratulations, Mara said. You discovered humans feel things. What does he do? Maltor asked. Scientist? Administrator? Civilian? None of your concern. That depends, he said, on how quickly you want this to end. The field constricted again, this time targeting her chest. Each breath required effort. Her pulse thundered in her ears. Tell me his name, Maltor said evenly. Mara's jaw tightened. No. Rank? No. Affiliation? No. The pressure increased by fractional degrees. Calculated. Relentless. You think protecting him gives you leverage, Maltor said. In truth, it gives me options. Mara's vision narrowed. She forced air into her lungs, slow and controlled. You don't understand what you're asking. I understand fear, he replied. And I understand leverage. You understand dominance, Mara said. That's not the same thing. Maltor's eyes hardened. You humans romanticize destruction. You build myths around individuals. We build boundaries, Mara said. And we enforce them. He stepped back. The field released completely. She nearly collapsed but caught herself, breathing hard. You will not be released, Maltor said. Your evidence is erased. Your transmission irrelevant. Your survival unnecessary. Mara lifted her head. Then why keep talking? Because I want to see you break, he said simply. And because I want to know what makes you think you matter. She laughed softly. It surprised both of them. You already know, she said. That's why you're still here. Silence stretched between them. Maltor turned toward the door. Prepare the termination order, he said aloud, activating the room recorder. Subject uncooperative. Security risk unresolved. Mara's breath steadied. You're making a mistake. He paused at the threshold. You assume mistakes are fatal. They are, she said. Just not to me. The door sealed. Moments later, the field reactivated, not as restraint, but alignment. The floor marked a precise position beneath her feet. The walls hummed softly, energy building in patterns too complex to be visible. No ceremony. No audience. Mara closed her eyes. She thought of Elias, not his face, but his stillness. The way he listened before acting. The way silence followed him, not because he demanded it, but because others sensed it was safer that way. The hum rose to a sharp tone. For an instant, the restraint band pulsed once, faster, stronger than before. Then everything went white. In a secured office elsewhere on Helios 9, a status indicator flickered briefly before stabilizing. A minor anomaly, logged and ignored. Warden Maltor signed the termination record without looking at it. Dispose of the remains, he said. No archival. The system complied. Far beyond the dead star's orbit, something ancient and human woke up. And began to move. The alert arrived without sound. No alarms. No flashing indicators. Just a single line of data appearing on a darkened command console, threading itself through layers of encryption that no longer officially existed. Status confirmed. Subject terminated. Commander Elias Vorn was standing alone on the observation deck when it appeared. The stars beyond the reinforced viewport drifted slowly, distant and indifferent. He did not move when the message resolved. He did not blink. For 3 full seconds, nothing happened. Then he reached out and placed his hand flat against the console. Verify, he said. The system responded instantly, unfolding data like a confession. Biometric confirmation. Timestamp. Location. Cause of death. The code signature embedded in the alert was unmistakable. He had written it himself, years ago, during a war that never made it into coalition history. His jaw tightened, not in grief, not yet. In recognition. He closed his eyes once. When he opened them, the room felt smaller. Command, he said calmly. Initiate protocol Ashfall. There was a pause. Not hesitation, verification. A voice answered, low and controlled. Protocol Ashfall requires confirmation of identity. Elias pressed his thumb to the console. The surface warmed, reading more than skin. Callsign, the voice said. Reaper. Silence followed. Not the absence of sound, but the presence of weight. Systems across human space shifted states. Dormant arrays came online. Vessels that did not exist on any registry adjusted their trajectories. Confirmation accepted, the voice said. All restrictions lifted. Elias turned from the viewport. His reflection stared back at him briefly, eyes steady, expression unreadable. He had learned long ago that emotion wasted time. Time was a resource he would not squander. Where? He asked. The coordinates appeared instantly. Helios 9. A name buried deep in black archives, associated with disappearances and denials. Time of death? He said. 8 minutes ago, the system replied. Elias nodded once. Mobilize. The deck lights dimmed as the ship responded. Somewhere deep within the hull, engines began to hum, not with the roar of acceleration, but with the quiet certainty of something that did not need to announce itself. A hatch slid open behind him. Lieutenant Saren stepped inside, posture rigid. Sir, she said. Fleet Command is requesting clarification. Coalition channels are detecting. Seal the channels, Elias said. Yes, sir. She hesitated, then spoke carefully. Is it true? He did not answer immediately. Yes, he said finally. Saren swallowed. Then, the failsafe worked. It did what it was designed to do. She took a breath. Do we notify the coalition? Elias turned to face her. They'll know soon enough. She nodded, understanding more than she asked. Orders? Wake the ghosts, he said. All of them. Her eyes widened despite herself. That hasn't been done since people forgot why we built them, Elias finished. She straightened. Yes, sir. As she left, the ship's displays shifted again. Tactical projections layered themselves over the stars. Vectors formed, intersecting impossibly fast. This was not a fleet in the traditional sense. No banners. No formations. Just presence. Elsewhere, far from Elias's command deck, a coalition monitoring station lit up with warnings. Unidentified mass fluctuations detected, an analyst reported. Multiple origin points. No drive signatures. Could it be a sensor fault? Another asked. The analyst shook her head. It's coordinated. A senior officer leaned closer to the display. Run a comparative analysis. Look for historical matches. The system processed for a fraction of a second. Then the color drained from the officer's face. That can't be right, he whispered. What is it? Someone asked. He swallowed. The pattern matches pre-coalition extinction campaign data. A junior analyst frowned. Against who? The officer did not answer immediately. Against anyone who crossed humanity's red line, he said. Back aboard his ship, Elias stood as the final confirmation arrived. Mara's file opened on the central display. Not her death, her life. Linguistic breakthroughs. Peace accords. The quiet victories no one celebrated. The notes she left for him in the margins of reports, hidden in plain sight. He reached out and closed the file. She warned them, he said softly. The system did not respond. It didn't need to. Plot a direct insertion, he continued. No broadcast. No declaration. A new voice entered the channel, older, steadier. Elias, it said. This is Admiral Rook. We're seeing movements we can't explain. Elias didn't bother with formalities. You're seeing consequences. Rook exhaled slowly. Is this about Helios 9? Yes. They're claiming a containment breach, Brooks said. They deny wrongdoing. Elias's expression did not change. They executed my wife. Silence stretched across the channel. I see, Brooks said at last. You always told me restraint mattered, Elias said. It still does. Rook hesitated. Then why unleash this? Because restraint only works, Elias replied, when it's understood. The channel closed. The ship shuddered, not from acceleration, but from transition. Space folded. Stars smeared into lines that meant nothing to physics textbooks. Helios 9 appeared ahead, a dark silhouette against the dying glow of the star it orbited. Quiet. Confident. Unaware. Elias watched it grow larger. Time to arrival? He asked. 2 minutes, the system replied. He nodded. Unlock armory. Solo deployment. Confirmed. The deck shifted as equipment rose from hidden compartments. Not oversized. Not dramatic. Tools built for efficiency, not spectacle. Elias stepped into the deployment chamber. The doors sealed around him. As the countdown began, he closed his eyes, not in prayer, not in rage, but in focus. Mara had believed in systems. In law. In patience. He believed in endings. The chamber vibrated softly. Helios 9 filled his vision. And somewhere inside that station, people who had never learned the difference between mercy and weakness were about to learn it in full. Helios 9 never sounded an alarm. That was its first mistake. Elias Vorn materialized inside the station's outer ring without resistance. No breach. No impact. One moment the corridor was empty, the next it contained him, standing still, weapons powered but unfired, eyes already mapping angles, exits, and movement vectors. Gravity held. Atmosphere stable. Power steady. They were confident. The first guard rounded the corner mid-stride and froze. His mouth opened, training kicking in too late. Elias moved once. A precise motion. The guard collapsed without a sound, armor sliced open at the joint no manual ever mentioned. Elias stepped over the body and kept walking. Doors unlocked ahead of him as if recognizing authority. Not because the station obeyed him, but because the systems had already been overridden. Somewhere beyond human space, a fleet that officially did not exist had wrapped Helios 9 in a silence so complete it erased intent. Cell blocks opened in sequence. Prisoners stared in disbelief as restraints disengaged. Some screamed. Some wept. Some simply stared at the man walking past them without slowing. Exit routes marked, Elias said into the air. A soft confirmation replied. All detainees rerouted to evacuation corridors. No interference detected. Good, he thought. Security teams attempted coordination next. Tactical chatter spiked, then vanished. They fired blind into empty hallways, shouting orders that dissolved into static. Elias passed through them like weather. Where resistance formed, it ended. No excess. No hesitation. He reached the central control sector in under 4 minutes. Warden Kethrax Maltor was waiting. Not cowering. Not fleeing. Standing behind a reinforced desk, flanked by 2 guards whose hands trembled despite their weapons. You, Maltor said, eyes fixed on Elias. You are not on any manifest. Elias stopped 6 steps from the desk. You killed my wife. The guards exchanged glances. One lowered his weapon slightly. Maltor's posture stiffened. Your detainee violated security statutes. She was an observer. She was a liability. Elias tilted his head. You didn't even record her execution. Maltor's eyes flicked to a side display. Efficiency does not require ceremony. Elias raised his weapon, not at Maltor, but at the ceiling. The shot was silent. The room dimmed as power rerouted beyond local control. The guards' weapons powered down. Leave, Elias said. They hesitated. Now. They ran. Maltor remained. You think this ends with me? He demanded. The coalition will respond. Elias stepped closer. No. They'll apologize. Maltor laughed sharply. You humans always overestimate your leverage. Elias reached into his armor and withdrew a small data shard. He placed it gently on the desk. That contains every transmission Helios 9 ever suppressed, he said. Every execution. Every erased name. Maltor's expression flickered. You think we didn't know about this place? Elias continued. We knew. We tolerated it. We believed restraint preserved stability. Maltor straightened. Then why now? Elias's voice dropped. Because you touched something you weren't allowed to touch. She was nothing, Maltor snapped. One human among thousands. Elias's eyes hardened. She was the line. For the first time, fear cracked through Maltor's composure. If you kill me, you prove nothing. Elias leaned in. I'm not here to prove anything. He raised his weapon. Maltor opened his mouth, perhaps to beg, perhaps to threaten, but the sound never formed. The shot ended him instantly. Clean. Final. Elias stepped back. Purge command authority, he said. Confirmed, the system replied. Across Helios 9, systems shut down in perfect order. Power failed. Structural locks disengaged. The station began to come apart, not explosively, but decisively. Sections sealed off. Others vented harmlessly. No prisoners were left behind. Elias walked to the viewport. Beyond the glass, human vessels hung in silence, dark shapes against the starless void. No insignia. No lights. Just presence. Broadcast, Elias said. A single channel opened across every coalition frequency. This facility violated accords you pretended to enforce, Elias said calmly. It no longer exists. Consider this restraint. Do not test the alternative. The channel closed. Helios 9 folded inward moments later, collapsing into itself as containment fields failed and space reclaimed what arrogance had built. No debris. No evidence. Just absence. Elias stood alone as the station died. Extraction ready, the system said. Wait, he replied. He removed his helmet. For the first time since the alert, his composure cracked, not loudly, not visibly, but enough. He closed his eyes and breathed once. Mara, he said quietly. Not a vow. Not a promise. A conclusion. The extraction field engaged. When Elias returned to his ship, reports were already flooding in. Coalition emergency sessions. Public denials. Private panic. None of it mattered. Protocol ashfall complete, the system said. Stand down, Elias replied. The fleet vanished as silently as it had appeared. Across the galaxy, rumors spread faster than censorship. A black site erased. A name whispered. A truth resurfacing. Humans did not threaten. They ended things. And they remembered who taught them why.